I don't know why.
How tight this is on my thigh.
Just gets you every time.
Like,
It's
I don't mind that.
because I have to sit right in the front, or I will just fall asleep.
Okay, let's go ahead and start because it's already 6:50. All right,
Okay. Ready.
sisters.
Okay.
All right, let's pray. Let's have Tiana. Would you pray?
I knew you were gonna call me.
Yeah, you did.
Because you looked at me and you looked away, and I knew that. Okay. Let me just finish swallowing my grass. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for everything you've done for us. Thank you for this time we have together thank you that we can all make time for this, for you, Lord, and thank you that you bless this time. And I pray that you be with whatever presentation for us is prepared for us, that you speak through him into our hearts, Lord. We love you so much. Bless tonight. Give us strength and rest for tomorrow, Lord. We love you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So we've been talking a lot about love on a different level for the last few Bible studies, and so today, because we're not having it in our normal location, I asked if anybody wanted to talk about this, and everybody kind of seemed keen to give it a go. So I made just a little tiny PowerPoint, but it's really not a lot. If I go through the 4 slides, guys, we're going to be done in 5 minutes. So like anybody who's underprepared, I'm going to find myself repeating myself a lot. So please make sure that you tell me, hey, you've already said this, let's keep moving. And then also, if you have anything to say, to pause me and just say, hey, let's talk about this for a second. Or if you have any questions or whatever. This is heavily inspired by C.S. Lewis's book, The 4 Loves. And if you're in this room, I probably asked you to read it at least once, or recommended it.
I know someone else like that.
Are you me?
I think James has read it, the whole thing, and everybody else has at least heard of it, I'm sure. We're talking, of course, of the 4 words that the Bible uses for love in Greek. We don't know what they are necessarily. There's not there is a Septuagint translation for Hebrew, but Greek really has these 4 words particularly. So we got storge or storgi, and philia, and eros, and agape. We hear about agape a lot when we're especially in the Christian life, but we don't really hear too much about the other ones. And so today we're just gonna have a little quick talk about it. We'll start with storgi. According to Lewis, it's the most animal of loves, and I think that just means that it's very chemical. It's like an instant love. When you have a baby, you instantly love it. A lot of times, even if you see a baby that's not yours, you're going to instantly love it. There's no reason to it. It's just chemically a part of you that you're going to really be affectionate toward it. The word storgi, the best English translation for that word would probably be affection. And if you've grown up and you've had a lot of affectionate aunties and tetes and grandpas and whatever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Even there's Emily told me there's this thing called cute aggression, where you just want to take something and squeeze it. And
I want to eat babies all the time.
and it's funny because it even manifests itself. You can feel that way towards a puppy. Animals even feel that way towards each other, even across species. Sometimes you see a dog and a cat, they start hanging out together and they start liking each other. And I've even heard once of that when they scan an elephant's brain, when one elephant's looking at a person, the same part of their brain lights up as when we look at a puppy, and we enjoy that. Elephants
so cute.
Elephants feel that way towards us as well. So
We're little to them. We're like babies to them.
Yeah, there's the cute little human.
Whisking around.
So, and I've seen dogs be very affectionate. One time, I've seen someone crying and a dog instantly drop what they're doing, went over to the person who's crying. And so we can feel affection back and forth between each other, and it's a very, very chemical, very physical love. It's like eros in that it's a physical love, and you feel it very strongly in your body. It's one of the first ways that God teaches us about himself, is that he calls himself God the Father. Let's see. The expressions of love are very similar to Eros, but different. I don't have to, make too much of an example here, but like kisses and hugs and embraces are all parts of both, even though they're very different. But even C.S. Lewis talks about, he goes, it makes me uncomfortable to talk about it, but even like things like pet names and like nicknames for each other. And you see this like in siblings growing up, you see this and moms and dads calling their kids little nicknames and things like that. Even like us with each other will do that. Like even among like really close friends that grew up together, we have like nicknames with each other. Let's see. What's nice about this one is that everybody feels it at one point or another in their life. I would even go so far as to say I think I've heard a story of like a thief who just robbed a store, was on his way out of like trying to get away from the liquor store, but sees like a kid in the middle of the street about to get run over, drops his stuff and goes and helps the kid. Like everybody feels it, even bad guys feel it. If we open up to Matthew 7, 9-11, so I'm using my laptop, so I'm going to use my Bible today. Let's have James read this one.
Okay. Is it 9-11?
Mm-hmm.
Or what man is there among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him?
So this is something that even like evil people know how to do. Even bad guys love their kids, it's the coziest. It's like C.S. Lewis describes it. It's like fuzzy slippers, or like walking around in like your pajamas. That's the kind of love that storge is. Very comfortable, very familiar. It resembles agape because it does not need to be loved back. For this reason, a lot of times parents feel like they instantly agape their children. And they kind of elevate their love towards their kids to the highest love. Because it's so strong and because it's so one way sometimes. So like if I could like draw an illustration, I would say like it only goes one direction. The baby does not have to love the parents back. The older sibling loves the little sibling. The little sibling might be too young to love the older sibling back. You love them because of who they are, not because of what they do for you, not because of any other reason. And so in that sense, it's almost like it's unconditional. And so, but a lot of people, because of that, they'll feel like, okay, I agape my kids. But they don't realize that, no, this is something that even everybody feels this way. Okay, before I go there, I want to talk about, I want to say something and then I'm going to take it back right away. With Storge, the object of the love is the lovely thing. And I'm going to take that back right away because I could also say that the object of love could be ugly. So, there's a saying in Arabic. I think you guys know what I'm going to say. Even a monkey thinks her daughter is cute. Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, you can even love a kid who's like who's annoying and like misbehaved and whatever, but they're your kid, so you're gonna love them. So that's why it is because you are lovely, I love you. Does that make sense? Monodirectional goes one way. It could go wrong though. It's especially rough when if that love is idolized and it's like it's the most important one, like I agape you, like I that is the most important thing, and they miss the fact that maybe their kid when they grow older They don't want to be cuddled or have pet names or like be dealt with as a child, and then there's no even like common manners saved for their kid. A lot of times parents will might even go so far as to like interrupt their kids or mock what their kids think are serious, and then their kids kind of like, I don't even want to share what I have going on. This is stuff, by the way, from C.S. Lewis's book. I was shocked to find out that C.S. Lewis was saying this. I'm not, I know it sounds like I'm maybe coming from that with my own, but he says he knew this woman who was so hurt because her daughter didn't want to share anything with her. He says, but she didn't even realize that anytime her daughter did share something with her, if it was done aggressively, it was met with tears and upset and frustration. If her daughter tried to share something with her, like in a place that disagreed gently, it was met with like, oh, well, I didn't mean it, and like cuddles and nicknames and whatever. He goes, and the situation never got better. He goes, and a lot of parents say, oh, it seems like my kids would rather go hang out with anybody else but me. He was like, that's true, because your kids wouldn't hang out with someone who's being rude to them. And it goes two ways. Oftentimes, kids have storge towards their parents, and so sometimes that could happen too. Most of the time, the relationship of storge goes sour when one person wants to continue that relationship in that way, and the other one doesn't return it in that way. So the second the baby stops being the baby, stops being the cute little adorable thing, the older one gets hurt. It's like, how could you not be in that sort of relationship anymore? That means you don't love me anymore. You don't want to be my little cute little baby anymore. Sometimes, oh, you don't want to be like my brother anymore. You don't want to be my sister anymore. You know, like you've changed. And so storge hates change. Any change in situation makes storge feel insecure and upset. Okay, these are a couple of instances where it went wrong. Isaac loved Esau and Rebecca loved Jacob. By the way, I spelled Rebecca two different ways 2 times in this PowerPoint. I'm sorry for the inconsistency. But Rebecca loved Jacob, and so that caused a lot of division between the families. When you let it go past a certain point, when you begin to love that person or treat that storge you love and give it more diligence than what it requires or what it deserves as that type of affection, it becomes a problem. When you elevate affection to agape and you say, this is as important as agape, or I love them this much, therefore I will do anything for them in this way, it becomes an issue. And we'll come back and we'll talk about how all the ways that storge could potentially go wrong. Any comments? Ideas,
I just like the language of the potential danger from Pastor Chat. It said, can become possessive or smothering if it resists change or growth. And that was very visual.
Did you guys ever watch, there was like this Pixar short film called Dumpling? Do you know that one?
That was called Bao.
Huh?
That was called Bao.
Bao, you're right. It's called Bao. And it's like this video of this mom who like makes this little steamed dumpling, and she is so careful and so loving about making it, and then it like betrays her. I think that's like a really good, and because it's essentially her son, and like he goes out, he starts going out with like a woman Bao, which is weird. And then at the end she like eats it, and then she feels really guilty about it, like almost consuming it. I think it's a really good picture of what that could mean. Okay, the next one. Bless you.
Thank you.
The next one is philia. We hear it often used as phileo because like that's the verb form, but philia is the noun form. Like agape, this is purely unphysical. It's completely a spiritual or soul pursuit. There's nothing physical about friendship. So philia means friendship or fellowship. David and Jonathan had this kind of relationship. Let's see. James read. Emily, you gonna read?
Sure.
1 Samuel.
As soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave it to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow, and his belt.
Their souls were knit together. It has nothing to do with the physical. It's not like Eros, there's like a physical attraction, and with Storge there's even like a physical attraction. Not in the same way, but with Philia, it's like it's where the minds meet. Friends look out together, and so I would say I use the word paradirectional here. So they're both looking outward side by side. Like our friendship, we're both interested in the same things. Maybe we work at the same workplace. Although that's not enough to really do it, but like a lot of times friends are friends while they're in school, or friends are friends when they go to the same college together, and that's usually how they make friends. But it's not enough by itself to make friends. Usually there's something more in common there. Somewhere where you say like, oh, you too, you also like baseball, you also like whatever. There's something that ties us together. We're almost like fighting on the same team. And so a lot of times you'll have those friends where it's like, okay, we were friends while we were in high school, and then you went away, and then you just don't talk to them anymore. And those are not real, like not actual friends. But the ones that like you haven't seen in 10 years and you start talking to them and it's like not a day has gone by, that's the kind of friendship that this is. It's really sad. Not everyone experiences it because it's not really necessary for life. It's not a good life without it, I don't think, in my personal opinion. But true, real friendship like this, it is. There are people who kind of like harbor themselves away and they live off of the other loves, and they don't really have a lot of community or fellowship with others. It's not a jealous love. You don't get jealous because somebody else is spending time with your friend more than you. If anything, it's a more the merrier type of love. Like if anything, there are times when all of us together can bring something out in that friend that doesn't really come out when it's just you and that one other person. So the object of this love is external. Whereas before it was the object of the love was the thing, like it was one directional, it was from A to B. B is lovely, that's why A loves B. This one, it's A and B love something else. Both of them together. Usually they don't care about the individual for the individual's sake. This is why I personally think this is a hot take from Faddis, okay? This is not C.S. Lewis, this is not even biblical, I don't think. I think this is more of like a masculine love.
Like a bro man.
Like a bro sort of love. I'm not saying that girls can't love this way. But this is the kind that's like, you can hang out with somebody and not even ask them about how their day went. But you talk about the movie or the football game or whatever that you saw last night. Does that make sense?
So is it bad if people don't experience this?
I think that they should. I think that everybody should.
It's like an acquaintance.
No, it's different. Acquaintance is just like you have hundreds of acquaintances, but you only have a few like real friends, people who again your souls are knit together. You know.
I'm having a hard time understanding. I think I split this into two categories. Is this like the object is external? So like Deanna and I grow really close because we both really love the Lord. And I feel like our souls are knit together. However, some of the other things don't totally make. What did you say that we wouldn't like ask about each other's day or something, or like it's so directed that you don't necessarily go
right. And I will say this too. Relationships are complicated things. Relationships are usually made of more than one type of love. So, but
this would be like maybe sports team love, like Like, you guys play a lot of sports, right? Are there people you just, like, vibe with, but then you never hang out and talk with them outside of the days that you're playing sports?
There could be like a tribal sort of aspect to it, but not to dumb it down to just like we're both like the Clippers is like, it's not enough to say that.
It's deeper than that.
It's deeper than that. It's more like the closest thing I can say is, this is going to be a really lame example, but this is a real way that I felt it. My grandpa, when he was in his 90s, at the home where he lived, was it, you call it convalescent home? Am I saying the right word?
Yeah.
All the way home.
He was sitting down figuring out for the first time in years, because they asked him to start sharing messages at the convalescent home where he lived. He said, it's been a long time I have not written a sermon or prepared a message to say. My grandpa used to preach a lot in the church that he served at. I know James has prepared a sermon before, and I know that I've prepared a sermon before. And so in that thing that we have this like commonality, but we're also, there's the added service to the Lord, and we're both like trying to work for the Lord. There was a camaraderie there that I didn't feel with my grandpa before.
Okay.
Like I had felt him like as my family, as my grandpa, as my dear grandpa. But in that way, that was a very unique individual way where like now I felt like we're fellows. And I think the word fellowship is really kind of, it draws out the meaning of the word more.
Yeah.
So the first one, if it's affection, this is friendship, but I think fellowship is even a better word.
Okay.
I think of like fellowship meaning we're tied together by something bigger than us, like a sort of a higher power almost. Doesn't have to be, but something that's like something that connects, that's like big enough to impact like our hearts and our minds. Does that make sense?
I almost wonder too if the girl version of, because like you said, for guys it's like you're talking about the movie you're just watching, the game, or the sermon you're preparing. I wonder if the girl version is like tackling life problems together. So then asking how's your day like is the external object.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way. I'm like, no, that's how I relate to my friends. It's like what's going on with your world.
I will say again, that was not. That was just me.
I know, so that's why I'm because I
I think it does express differently. Also, hearing it out of context in 1 Samuel, I just started reading 1 Samuel, so when I get to that point, I will probably have a better understanding of it. But that feels very deeply knit versus the ways that we would describe filial love in like the just general world could be lighter things, like not oh we both like the same sports team, but like lighter hearted things.
And I will even say this, it's not just liking the same tastes.
Yeah.
I will say like that kind of leads to it, but it's not just that, because if you've ever been in a situation where like you have to go hang out with like your boyfriend's friends, you know, it's like, oh, you watch Gossip Girl, you also watch Gossip Girl, you guys can go talk together about it. And it's just like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Or you like football, you also like football, go and talk.
Okay.
That's kind of a really shallow way to try and connect it. I think it's deeper than that. Those things lead to it, a share in taste, but it's not just, it can't just be summed up to just that.
Okay.
Okay. Hi.
Where have you been?
Off the grid.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Did
Hi,
you
guys.
get lost in nursing school?
No, yeah, literally.
Hi.
Oh my god.
Nice to see you.
It's been a minute.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, hi
Thank
guys.
you.
I like the eyebrows.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you want to take a turn here?
So this is like a really, really fast recap. We're talking about the 4 loves. The first love we talked about was storge. It is like better known as like affection. And then the second love we talked about was philia, which is like a brotherly fellowship kind of love. Let me erase the arrows I keep up there. Okay. Now the third kind of love is eros. And so the way that God kind of describes this is, oh shoot, I skipped something. I should have put this earlier. If we open up to John chapter 15, 13 through 15, this is another way that God kind of describes his love to us. It says, greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatever I command you. Henceforth, I call you not servants, for the servant doesn't know what his Lord does, but I've called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known to you. So it's like there's Jesus loving his bride, that's like eros. But in this case, sometimes he says, I also love you like friends. And so it's like we're sharing in this mission together. We have this fellowship together. There's even, we'll talk about it later, when Jesus talks to Peter and he says, like, do you love me? He says, do you agape me? Peter cannot honestly say that he agapes Christ back. He says, you know I phileo you. And so, and we'll read that at the end, but where Jesus, every time he says, I phileo you, he says, okay, then feed my sheep. So it's like, if you love me, you'll feed my sheep. If you share in this fellowship that we have together, you're going to feed my sheep.
Even though it says they don't care about the individual's sake. I know that's interesting.
This kind of love, okay? Christ certainly cares about the individual, okay? We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Actually, we'll get to that right now.
Okay.
So heroes. So this is the love between man and woman, the love between sexes. Christ and his bride. That's how Christ describes his love for us. This is a physical love like storge, and again, it's another way that Christ decides to explain to us how he loves us. This one I have trouble with describing because I want to say it's more than just the physical feeling, but at the same time I have trouble describing it more than that because it's not. Well, let's see what you guys think. So we have Adam and Eve. This is the kind of love that they had for each other at the very beginning, where Adam, when he sees Eve, he says the two will become bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. He's talking about very physical things. And then we have Rebecca running to Isaac as an example. Okay, so if we look at Eros, if I have to describe it in the direction, they look towards each other. They're interested in each other. The object of their love is each other. Whereas the friends were like, we look out there, lovers look towards each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I would say, this is another hot take. This is not, this is just what I think. And so I would love to see what your guys' thoughts are. Is that this is a more feminine kind of love. The kind of love that wants to know about your day, that wants to see how you're doing, and is interested in you for your sake. Guys will go years without talking about their feelings and stuff, but they're talking about other things, whereas girls are more interested. And I've seen this personally. This is kind of what made me think this way. I've seen a lot of sports games played at the school that I work at, and the way guys prepare before a hard game is 100% different than how girls prepare before a hard game. Guys, each one of them puts their hood on, puts their headphones on, and they're like this. And they're like, sometimes they're like going side by side, and they're just boom, focused in the zone. Girls, they are doing each other's hair, they are complimenting each other, they cheer each other on, like it's like they have way stronger cheers for each other than guys do. When watching girls volleyball is so exciting just because the girls on the thing have a cheer, the girls on the chair respond to that cheer, and the girls in the auditorium respond to that one, and it's like all orchestrated. I have never seen guys do that at the guys volleyball games. If it wasn't for the girls, there wouldn't be orchestrated cheers. And I just think that love, that sort of love in each other is easier for girls. I'm not saying that girls eros each other, but the sort of love that is interested in the other person it comes more naturally to women. I think that's why women are naturally better at relationships than men are. That's not a biblical thing. That's just me what I think. Okay, so Rebecca running to Isaac, she was interested in him for his sake. When she was riding home, when Abraham's servant brought her home, he told her about him all the trip. So by the time they made it, she jumps off the camel or horse or whatever it was and runs towards, because she wants to meet this person that she's heard about, because she's interested in him. Jacob working for Rachel. He's interested in her. He's not just interested in the physical part of her. He's not just interested in consummating his relationship, and he's willing to work 7 more years even after he got
Jacob.
yeah. What is it?
After he got Jacob?
Yeah, after he got Jacob. Most will feel it, the desire for the other person as the object, which is kind of weird to say object, like objectifying, but there is a little bit of that. As the object of your love. But not all marriages have it. And so we kind of talked a little bit about this the other day in the restaurant, and that's one of the sort of discussions I'd love to have in a little bit. The object is each other. And then this is where you care about the other person for the other person's sake. If I go out with James to a restaurant, it's because we're trying to see how good the food is. If I go out with Emily to a restaurant, it's because I want to hang out with Emily. Does that make sense?
Or he wants some advice.
or something. It's external, because if we just want to know about each other, we just call each other or hang out. I don't know, but anyways, it's so I call this bidirectional. When it goes wrong, you can elevate this love because it shares stuff with agape as well. All of these loves share something with agape. In this case, I want to say it's the sacrificing, pouring yourself into a relationship. Christ loving the church, and so we're called to love the way Christ loved the church. And so there is you can elevate this to say this is the most important love, and this is this is agape, and you can kind of push that up. But the problem is when you do that, it becomes like a god to itself, and you put it before a god. And there's other pitfalls too that you can make it a problem over. Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you taking questions?
Yeah, please.
So, like how it says, like sometimes marriages lack it, or like maybe like a marriage like is all going well and there's this kind of love at the beginning, but then maybe it becomes one-sided and like the wife is maybe invested but the husband's like checked out. Is that more like the storge love? I wasn't here for that one. Is it still considered?
No, I think that there are some marriages that start out with a sort of commitment and like maybe just physical attraction. And I think eros is more than just physical attraction. The problem is when the physical attraction goes away. We're all going to get older at some point. No matter where you start from, you're going to end up with less than what you had. And so
Or more.
maybe some. But the idea is that I think that there are some people that start out with physical attraction, but that can fade. And then physical attraction is not enough to carry you through. It's having the other person as who they are. You want them. It's the way C.S. Lewis describes it. Is someone who wants like cigarettes or a drink. Well, they don't want the drink for the drink's sake. They don't want the drink because they like the bottle. They want the drink for how the drink is going to make them feel. Or they want the cigarettes for how the cigarettes are going to make them feel. If a man wants a woman for how the woman's going to make him feel, she just becomes the apparatus for his pleasure. Whereas if he wants her, if she herself is the object of what he wants, that's different. And so I think that in one way or another, maybe it's not just physical pleasure. Maybe sometimes a guy wants a woman for how she's gonna make him feel in other ways, like she's a good cook, or she's people are gonna look at that and think like kind of like a trophy wife. or whatever. I think that there's a lot of times where people confuse what motivates their love. I had I have a real question about this at the end that I am not sure about, and so I kind of want to like see what everybody else thinks. But I'm not sure if Eros is one of those loves. So we can talk about it at the end, but I think Storge grows. Storge can grow. Maybe you work with somebody who has a really annoying habit.
Like grow into philia?
No.
Grow into Eros?
The stronger Storge.
Huh?
The stronger Storge.
Just stronger Storge. So like where there was no Storge before, the Storge can come. Where there was no philia before, philia can come. My question is, where there is zero Eros, can Eros come later? That's what James thinks. I'm not so sure. Okay, let's go to.
Wait, where there was no.
It does.
Eros,
No
and
arranged
arranged.
marriages.
I'm waiting for that. That's why I'm trying to finish before 7:40, so we can have that conversation. Okay, agape. It is purely spiritual and unphysical. Okay, so this matches phileo in that sense. The ultimate expression of this is Jesus on the cross, of course. We think of the Good Samaritan. We think of 1 Corinthians 13, which is pretty cool. If you read 1 Corinthians 13, you don't just find agape there. You find the rest of the loves too. But agape is the only one that can meet all the requirements in 1 Corinthians 13. You can't really, at least I don't have a biblical verse that says this.
We love him because he first loved us.
Well, yeah. But does that mean you cannot love somebody else?
Well, if he didn't
Love
love
him
us
well.
first, then we couldn't love.
This is a lot like Storge. This is why, again, I said people mix up Storge with this love because it's one direction. But instead of this person being the lovely one, this person's the lovely one, and that's why he can love that direction, and one direction, and then once that person is loved, they can go and love others.
Wow.
So it starts off one direction and it ends multi-directional. That person, once filled with that love, can turn around and then love others that way too. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's so much of the Bible says about.
Can Storge be like that too?
Storge doesn't matter. Storge, if the baby doesn't love the mom, it still exists.
Yeah, but the mom can love the baby so much that the baby can love others like the mom loved the baby, you know?
I don't think it transfers like that. I think the baby would still need to be part of that family that they're loving into.
Oftentimes, sometimes, I don't know. If there was somebody who worked with like child development, I'd love to ask them. Sometimes,
Start asking.
sometimes I think that
I know what degree she worked in.
babies can actually, if they get everything they want from that person, and they're just kind of spoiled by Storge, it can actually ruin them sometimes. So it depends how Storge manifests. What do you think?
I
Yes, Emily.
would not necessarily agree. I think it depends what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for littles, the more responsive their parent is to them, the stronger, like, the more secure their attachment is to their parent, which means that they're then able to go out and explore the world with, like, less anxiety, less fear, less difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so I don't know.
But for that age, that would be appropriate.
Right.
If that continued
Mm-hmm.
into their adolescence.
Right. Then you have to start balancing autonomy with
Mhm.
meeting needs, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that, again, that's where I think Storge can be spoiled. Eros can be spoiled. Phileo can be spoiled. Agape
cannot be spoiled.
can't be spoiled. There's no bad way to apply agape.
Wow.
My pastor just said yesterday, you cannot overdo the will of God. If you love, if you forgive, like, you're not going to overdo the thing that is good that we've been told to do. You can overthink it, but you can't overdo it.
That's funny. The idea of overdoing. Like you get to heaven, it's like, dude, kind of overkill. Calm down.
So do you think this way only works like if you're a Christian and you experience agape from God, or can you experience agape from people around you and still express it equally?
I think if you receive agape from someone else,
It
you are
originated-
receiving it from
Yeah,
God.
it originated in God.
Can I, you know how like I want my husband to love me like Jesus loves me?
Yes,
Can we expect that from our relationship?
you must expect it. If you want to have a good relationship,
Agape.
you need to expect that from your husband.
Agape.
Yeah.
All 4 of them. 3
Agape is not just the sum of all the others.
It's the best parts.
It's the good parts of all the others, but
It's a different thing also.
it's also a different thing. Yeah. So like you remember that triangle that we were talking about? So there's this Sternberger's triangle of love. He has like this thing, and I honestly only I used to like be all for it. Only very recently I'm having issues with some of it. But it's his theory on what love is, and he has essentially 3 basic types of love, and then there's combos of those 3 basic types. But if you have all 3, it's consummate love, which just is all it's all the loves put together. I don't think agape is that simple. I think agape is a little bit is its own thing as well.
This is a complicated.
So each point of the triangle.
Intimacy, passion, and commitment. Is that the 3?
Yeah.
There's so many words on this. It's
Mhm.
not that simple, but okay. Passion, commitment, intimacy.
And then any combination of those.
Yeah.
I see.
So if you have passion and intimacy, it's romantic love. If you have passion and commitment, it's fatuous love.
Yes, fatuous. Passion and commitment. What does this mean? Fatuous love.
Like you think you're really into each other physically, and you are also committed together. So you're infatuated with one another.
Where is this not having romantic value?
Yeah, because for a romantic,
You need intimacy.
You need intimacy.
What?
I'm not sure that I don't really 100% go with it anymore, especially after.
Infatuation and empty love are the corners of that.
Dang. Because it
Okay.
could be one-sided, right?
Oh my god.
This is intense. I have all these graphs on my phone today. How to talk to Mormons. The relational theory of how many people you can have in your life. And now this.
Okay, I didn't really get to finish this part, so I don't
Okay.
think we don't need to go into these scriptures. This is just the scripture here where Jesus and Peter have that conversation, where Jesus says, "Peter, do you agape me?" And then Peter says, I phileo you, Lord." And then Jesus asks again. He goes, "Do you agape me, Peter?" And then Peter says, "I phileo you, Lord." And then Jesus comes back with, "Peter, you phileo me?" Like the 3rd time, but he says phileo. He doesn't say agape the 3rd time.
Oh.
And then Peter says, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I phileo you." And each time Jesus says, "Then feed my sheep, and feed my sheep, and feed my sheep."
So why does Jesus change what he is saying in the way he says love?
That's a really good question. That's why I put it up there. So if we want to talk about that, but then I have some other questions that I don't really know how to answer.
Okay.
And I just want to see what you guys think.
A non-believer agape someone. So okay.
I have my suspicion, my
So
really
should
strong suspicion.
Should all of us have someone who agapes us? How do you know if someone agapes you?
When people love you like God loves you.
How do you know?
What?
I think you know these things. I think you know what relationships in your life do that.
Okay, you know what? Let's come
Don't
up
you?
with a good definition here.
Let's go.
I have.
I can think of some that don't, that do, that.
What?
In my classroom, we study Animal Farm and lots of racism and stuff like that. And so somebody asked the question, because we're reading about the Holocaust. Is it possible to hate someone without knowing them?
Wait, is it possible to hate someone without knowing them?
Yes, because somebody asked as a Jew, and then there was a black guy asked the same question. How can you hate me and you don't even know who I am. This is around the Holocaust era.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is it? And then so I asked the students, like, can you hate someone without knowing them? And the truth is, yes, you can. You absolutely can. We saw it happen. And so then we had to come up with a definition of hatred. And in order to come up with a definition of hatred, we had to come up with a definition of love. And then so they're very similar in how they're defined. I would say this: love, agape, wants what's best for you, no matter what it costs me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Love wants your good, regardless of what it costs me. Hatred wants wickedness for you and evil for you, no matter what it costs me. It could,
something else.
no, because they hate you, and it will consume them. I will pay whatever it takes as long as it hurts you. So I will empty out my soul. I will shoot innocent people. I will do this to people because I hate you. And so it's really kind of scary to see it happen. But just like it's also kind of awesome to see agape happen.
Yeah.
So we have agape, no matter what the cost, I will do whatever it takes to do good for you. None of the other loves have that definition necessarily. I mean, a lot of them do sacrifice, but it's different. And so if you really want to know, does someone agape me, look at them in those terms.
How does this person sacrifice for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do they want what's good for me no matter what it costs them?
Even if it means not having them.
Right, but see, so again, this is where Storge can get, or the other ones can get twisted. Sometimes, people who love their kids, they sacrifice a lot, and in their minds, this is what's good for you. So to them, it feels a lot like agape.
But it's Storge.
Right.
Out of order.
It's just a kind of twisted.
Because agape depends on what's actually best for the recipient, not what's best for the
The
recipient
truth of
according
what's
to the giver.
best.
of the love.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and then there has to, in order for you to accomplish agape love, you have to understand God's love in any capacity, His agape, so that you understand the value of what is truly good, not what you think is good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like you have to humble yourself to the reality of like, you know what? The best thing for you may really end up hurting me or I lose, but you get what's best for you. So like I have to yield to that because I understand the bigger picture. When it's Storge, it's your judgment of how it works out, and it always involves you in the future.
Yeah, and a really good way, something that's really beautiful. It's what Paul calls wives to do to husbands that are not believers. When he said, when he tells them
That's your ministry.
to love them in was it in silence?
No.
To non-believers, you can silently win them over.
Oh, love them in. No, it's submit to them.
No. That passage is about loving them that you may win them over.
Yeah, submission, quiet. I'm just saying that passage.
I don't think it says submission.
Give it a chance.
I know. Okay.
1 Peter 3:1, right? Wives likewise be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct of their wives.
Okay,
Oh.
that's agape.
Yeah.
Without a word.
Read it again, there.
Wives likewise be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct of their wives.
So they're being submissive to their husbands.
What was that?
Without a
Third
word
First-
would be.
yep.
Third.
1 Peter 3:1.
So they're being submissive to their husbands, which, by the way, are not, this is gonna suck, but are not necessarily being Christ-like towards them.
Yeah.
But they're being Christ-like towards their husbands, so that they can win them over. That's an example of like a marriage that has agape, where this woman is decided to agape her husband, or maybe Eros is not there, maybe some other love is not there, but she will win him over with agape. I think that we're called by the Lord to show agape to everyone. So if there's a relationship where you have, let's say a storge relationship with a mother or brother or whatever, and maybe that's becoming tumultuous, well, now you're asked to agape them, regardless of whether you can continue storge or not. Let's say you're in a marriage where you it's supposed to be eros, but that's not there. I think that Julie, kind of to touch a little bit on what you were saying. I think there's a lot of marriages with storge that after listening to this man snore for 30 years that you used to hate, it's become endearing. And that's the definition of storge.
What was the original question raised by you?
It wasn't a question. I commented that I don't believe that all marriages have to be started with them being in love. It could just be like arranged, or it could just make sense, and the person's going to be a good partner and a good father.
Yeah.
And then I used Adam and Eve as an example, because I'm like, God didn't let him choose and say, who do you feel the most butterflies with? It was more like, here's your helper.
Yeah.
Right.
And make it work, and then love her, and then then agape her, and learn to do that.
But you don't
Right?
think that they had eros for one another right off the bat?
Like, of all the people that God could have chosen to put right next
I
to
know
him.
all of them. He could have given him all.
I mean, he designed
You're
the perfection for them, though, isn't that?
Could have taken a
See, I
couple
don't
of
believe,
hints.
and that was part of it. I don't believe in soulmates.
This is another thing, Julie, it's weird that you said this because this is
Yeah.
another thing that C.S. Lewis talks about. He says the other loves, we have choices in. Storge, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You don't decide who your brothers are, who your sisters are, who your mom and dad is.
Yeah.
Storge is given to you. And then it develops through familiarity. And so I think that what you're saying about like arranged marriage, I think storge grows. I don't know. I'm thinking about my grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
They were arranged? No?
He picked her.
My grandparents too. He picked her.
But he didn't, not for anything that had to do with her.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just makes sense.
It just, she's the pastor's daughter and I want a spiritual woman.
Yeah.
I do think eros can grow, though.
Yeah?
I think all of them can grow, and I also think that within a marriage, and a lot of other relationships too, like, there are several different types of, like, it's not just you only storge this person, that's their only role in your entire life.
Mhm.
Like that. That has to be, otherwise no adult could have a healthy relationship with their parents.
But James is saying that it can.
Eros absolutely.
I don't think
can grow.
Eros, what, oh,
I
actually,
think it
wait,
can.
sorry. I think there's one situation in which eros can grow, and which I've
What?
seen a million times.
What?
A boy and girl are friends in 7th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and then 9th grade happens, and they go away for a summer, and they come back, and then everyone's different and everything's different. And then suddenly there's feelings there where there wasn't feelings.
So you're saying transformation in individual seasons can cause eros to grow.
Maybe.
So it's transformation that causes it to grow.
I don't
Not-
even know. That might even be because the chemical, physical stuff
Yeah.
that makes eros possible aren't even there in the kids yet. So it might be that that's literally growing in them as they get older.
But I also think that as your relationship develops with a person, you can start to see components of them that draw out feelings of eros from you. Like, it's not literally, because like you said, it's not just physical.
It's
And
not.
so there might be things that
You've got to start by
you
establishing.
learn
Go, go.
that you learn about the person that you didn't know when you first met them. So there was no eros because the things that draw out eros in you had not yet been uncovered in your relationship with them.
Exactly.
Wait.
Exactly.
Familiarity.
Okay, also.
Well, intimacy.
Okay, I think the whole masculine and feminine thing, I think masculine, feminine in storge is different, masculine and feminine and eros is different. Probably in philia too.
That might be true.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Masculine, feminine in storge, Baba never said, oh, you're the philo, like, I love you so much.
Yes, he
Baba,
did.
no, but Baba loves us more like he's willing to freaking let down his own life for his kids at any minute, any second, give us everything he has in his life.
You just commented when we walked in, when she said, "Oh, who's that beautiful girl?" Whatever. That dad used to do that when you were.
You know what's funny is I feel like sometimes a masculine version is more like than a woman is, I think. At least in my experience.
I'm not.
Your dad?
listen,
My dad is more like, oh my
Your
little,
dad?
oh, my little. When
I
you
can't
see my dad with his dog, he's like, oh, my little baby. My mom loves the dogs, but she doesn't do that, and she doesn't go, oh my little boo. That's my dad. My dad expresses that way. My mom is like, I love you. I want to take care of you and fix you and heal your sleep problems. Like, it's different. So maybe there's splits on it where like there's polarity, but it's not necessarily masculine and feminine. It's just there's a polarity that happens.
Maybe.
That's represented. I don't know.
Okay, so Deanna, you feel that there's masculine and feminine sides to all the loves.
Yeah.
Also, James has something to say.
Just that once you establish what Eros is, there's no question that it can grow. Because if Storge is I love you because we're connected, and Philia is I love you because we love the same things, and Eros is I love you because you're lovely to me, then as you get to know them, you learn more about what's lovely about them, like Emma said. Of course that can cause your love to grow.
But if there's no each other to begin with.
Yeah, it can grow.
Yeah.
Take it from me. It can grow. I have grown to love in an Eros way so many people that nothing when that's why but maybe your guys' experience is different. Like, it's not like I had a lot of boyfriends in my life. I became friends with people, got to know them, and then was like, what just happened? So I think it's really important to know that that's possible, because that's a good thing and a potentially
I think
bad
that's
thing.
specifically possible with women too, when they get to know people more.
Yeah, this is my question always, is can a man who has never felt Eros towards a woman, and eliminating your summer break analogy, or whatever, your example, can a man, I've been asking this question again and again because trying to help people with matchmaking, I'm like, if you never see it at the beginning, has it ever developed, ever?
Yes.
Out of nowhere, when you didn't like them, you were not attracted, okay? You were not attracted to the women. Women, it changes all the time. Men, if you are not attracted, can it change? Does it ever change?
Okay, wait.
I can tell you personally. Yes.
Okay.
And it goes the other way too. It can grow and it can diminish for the same reason.
True.
You get to know them, and then now they're not that beautiful.
I've heard
to
that
you.
version, but I haven't heard from men that they saw someone, were not interested in an attracted way, and then it grew somewhere else later.
Okay, I want to
And then
separate.
it makes them more physically attractive too.
I want to separate, or at least try to draw some distinction. I know it's difficult, and I know that I'm being like nitpicky about this, but a physical attraction is not the same thing
As Eros.
And
That's exactly why it can grow.
what do you mean?
It's like a desire for the person.
But that's not to say that. Yeah, it's a desire for the person for themselves.
What you're essentially saying is when you meet somebody, you know everything about them the moment you meet, and you can't possibly learn anything about them.
No.
Right? Isn't that what the logical extension of what you're saying is?
No, because I'm having a tough time. So the reason why I put this up on the extras thing, where I put it questions Fatis doesn't know how to answer. If is not just physical exactly, then what is it?
What is it?
It's all of it. I love you because you are lovely to me. Meaning, it could include I love you because you're pretty. It could also include I love you because you're kind. I love you because you support me. I love you because you're encouraging. I love you because you. But it's always I love you because you. That's your.
It's a multifaceted desire for the person, interest or desire, attraction for the person. However, it does involve physical. It absolutely does, and in that way, I can't seem to pinpoint. I mean, you just answered it for yourself. I've never heard a guy, except for my brother said he was not attracted to his fiance when they met. I was like, never. Never? You're not even lying? Like, you weren't lying to us? Did it actually change? Or was it a familiarity or whatever? Like, I just think it's an important thing to know if men are capable of that or not, because then that expands your opportunity to bring people together, and then Eros can develop.
To me, it makes more sense that Storge develops. That the more you hang out with someone,
That's
the
an
more
interesting.
they become endearing to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're able to handle physical affection.
I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying. It makes sense.
I'm not so sure about being able to grow where there wasn't any before. I don't know.
Let me ask.
Everybody else
Pastor
is saying
Sean.
no, yeah, for sure. But like,
It's experience. It's out of experience. We know that it.
Your
can
own?
happen. Yes.
oh, well, but never mind.
Can
And
Eros
other
Somebody
people.
was
grow?
attracted to a man in the beginning when first meeting him, and then slowly becomes attracted to him. You think that's storgy no matter what, because there was no eros in the beginning.
Again, I'm not saying I know. I'm saying that's what I
But that's
suspect.
what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I think that would be true if Eros was in fact purely physical.
Right?
If the thing that distinguished Eros from other loves was the physical component, then I think you would be right.
But I feel like James and Deanna have said if it's just physical, then that can grow.
No, I'm saying
opposite.
exactly what Emily just said. That because you said it's not just physical. I said, isn't that exactly why it can grow?
I'm not saying it's not just physical. I'm saying there's a difference between physical sexual attraction, just physical sexual attraction,
Yeah.
and Eros. I'm not saying that there's. I still think Eros is still physical, but I just don't understand.
But it's more than physical.
Yeah. It's more than physical, and because of that, when Eros grows as a whole, every component of it grows, including the physical. And I mean that, like specifically the chemical reactions that didn't happen when you first saw this person. Then you got to know them, and the next time you see them, those chemical reactions do
I
happen.
agree with you.
That's how it. That's what I mean when I say it can grow, and that
Look at how
experience
many
can
women
happen.
were not attracted to their husbands at first, and then slowly.
I think there's a lot of marriages without Eros.
Huh? Marriages?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. I think they exist. I don't think it's a good recipe, but I think they do exist.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of marriages just surviving on storge and agape, and maybe phileo after a while.
I love you guys.
I love you, Julie.
Which
I
kind?
will see you. I agape you all. We agape you. Millions of questions,
Okay.
but
Julie,
we'll
are you really
talk
gonna-
later. Huh? What?
So can you actually feel all of these for a person at the same time?
I can't tell you.
I think you could. I think the only person you could feel all of these with
Which
is
was
your
one of my
spouse.
questions.
The cute eros.
Well, that makes sense.
You can feel like your spouse is the cutest thing in the world. You can feel friendship with your spouse.
I was just kidding.
I think that one's
Agape
hard,
the most, though.
but I
The
think you
friendship.
And
can.
agape,
Yeah.
I think it's hard to be friends
one of my
with
questions.
I think that obviously Eros with your spouse, and then obviously agape with your spouse.
Which one do you think is the most important? I mean, other than agape, of the three, cultivates the best kind of marriage?
Eros.
I can
Like,
see
if you
it.
were gonna ditch one, or you can't ditch storge really. It develops, right?
Yeah. If you're saying like, what's the most important of the three basic ones for a marriage? Eros probably. I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and that's what I think that is going wrong in the church. I think that's going wrong with like Christian dating and stuff. Is they're looking for phileo because they're thinking eros isn't gonna happen. I don't like
a lot of
these
people think Eros isn't going to happen, and
Yes.
then you're
They
right.
go with phileo, and that's how you end up with marriages that don't have eros. Is because they think, okay, well, phileo is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not actually true. I hope that's just evidence of people running out of patience and making a decision to settle.
I also, and this is again a
Wait.
personal suspicion, not.
Can you rewind that sentence? I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Maybe.
So I'm saying which of the basic three, not agape, which of the basic three is the most important component for marriage, for a good marriage? Storge, you can't choose. Storge doesn't happen like that with marriage because it's this,
Right.
right? That's something that you would adore the things over time, right? Okay, they become endearing to you. However, when you go from filio and you go to eros, like, don't we have so much evidence that people are losing hope that there is eros, so they just go for phileo and they just hope for the best.
Well, I think that the main problem with that is that a lot of young men are misunderstanding what Eros is.
Agree.
I think that they think it's just
Physical.
physical attraction,
Agreed.
and I think the main problem with that is that they're bombarded with pictures and internet and what have you, and so they think, well, that's just unattainable.
Yeah.
But that's what I've seen, so that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to just like not want that.
Yeah.
I think that that's what the problem is with a lot of youth. I have a buddy of mine. He was my student, and he goes to church, and we talk a lot. And he's just like, Mr. Swice, I've accepted. It's not gonna happen for me.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like,
Oh, you're 5.
no. He's just like he's like, no, I'm stressed. You don't understand what it's like being a chunky brother. And I'm like, I am a chunky brother. And he's like, he goes, no, Mr. Slice, you're tall and you're smart. He goes, it's different. He's like, I'm just short, fat, and funny. And I was like, dude, no. And then that's the problem.
If you're short, fat, and really funny,
Really?
you could get a good
Really?
What I'm telling him
He's the sweetest kid.
yeah. And what I'm telling him, it echoes something James told me once. It's like, you just need one. And I told
Yeah.
my friend this. I'm like, look, dude, you're looking at it with the eyes of the world.
Yeah.
You're looking at it like you want to date all these women. I was like,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
You just
If you, to be honest, yes. If you want to date 100 women, yeah, you need to be tall, you need to be good looking, you need to be fit, you need to have a 6-pack, all that stuff. If you want your wife, that's what you're looking for. You want one, and so you pray for that. You're playing a different game than the rest of the world, what the rest of the world's playing. So,
I think it's a lot easier to communicate philia through a dating app than it is to communicate eros.
Wow, that's
at-
a really good insight.
Yeah, you can say like, "What are your hobbies?" Oh, we have the same hobbies.
Ah.
There we go. I can feel you. But you're not gonna write on your profile like, "I am a kind person. I am very loving. I'm nurturing." That doesn't translate through.
and if you do say that, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's something you have to see for yourself. And like, oh, I love the way you handle these situations. I love what you do.
Yeah, dating apps are interesting.
Really,
Philia is much more tangible.
Really
Like, oh
Hey,
yes.
let me tell you,
I tried it once.
I tried it once.
Yeah, you
Once.
found one.
Wait, you guys went on an app?
Yeah.
Which one?
Coffee mates bagel.
Really?
Okay, are we doing? Hey, how's the peanut gallery, Gordy? How you doing?
Are there 3
They all fell asleep.
They all fell asleep.
Is Julie?
Any comments or questions?
Is Joe on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're part of the. You especially.
Is that Joe?
You're the nuttiest of the
You're the
peanuts.
peanut.
I
We appreciate the honesty.
That's why we call it.
Hey, I couldn't hear anyone else too. I could hear Ferris only.
Okay, well, maybe we'll pick up discussion next week.
Don't worry, my mic picked it up in the recording. So we're good.
Okay, so we
I want to read the book.
yes, please read the book. Again, the audio book is so good. It's only 2.5 hours, and it's C.S. Lewis's voice actually reading the book. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wait,
Where
did
is
you
the
send it to me?
audio?
You
That's
said
not-
it's no good.
no, it's very good. It's so good.
Oh, so good. Okay.
Is this the one you gave to us?
No, the one I gave to you is Great Divorce. Which, by the way, if you approach Great Divorce, understanding these like his ideas of the 4 loves, it opens up a lot of little things that you begin to notice in the Great Divorce.
Is the audio book free?
If you have Libby, it is.
James, can you download it for me?
James, can you send it to us after you download it?
Sure.
You know what? Yeah, ask James. I'm sure he'll hook you guys
It's
up.
right there if anyone wants one.
What is it?
Huh?
The 4 loves.
Oh.
Oh, I wasn't in my car.
Me too.
I have too many books to read.
Yeah.
And also, his jokes are funnier when he says them.
Are you guys curious what Eros defined is on
Oh my
Let's
God.
hear it. Let's hear it.
chat? Okay.
Pastor chat.
It's romantic passion. Okay, at its core, Eros is the love that longs for union with the beloved, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. It's the kind of love that says, I don't just want pleasure, I want you. That's romantic passion, the feeling of being in love. It includes desire, admiration, and emotional intensity. It awakens when a person is seen as uniquely beautiful, fascinating, or magnetic. You have a personal fixation. Eros is not about loving a type, like I love brunettes. Does this know I'm brunette? It's about one specific person. You don't just want love, you want that person. Longing for union. Eros often desires emotional closeness and deep connection, not just physical intimacy. It involves a desire to be fully known and fully joined. Intoxicating and consuming. Eros can feel like it takes over. It's powerful, passionate, and even irrational. That's why it must be guided by higher loves, especially agape, or it can become destructive. Lewis's warning, he admired the beauty of Eros, but warned that Eros, honored without reservation and obeyed unconditionally, becomes a demon. So is that like your love has the capacity to become violent?
Like if you put your person above Christ.
What?
Like if you
Yes.
put your person
Yes.
above
Oh,
So-
Anakin, amen. Yeah.
Oh, Eros can tempt people to idolize their beloved or justify harmful actions for love.
See, that's
It must be anchored by a god.
Wow, they full on
Rest in peace,
made
guys.
Star Wars.
Well, I mean, and then
It's when it what?
Eros is also an exclusive love.
Yes.
It's you and me. That's why you gotta have dates. You know, you can't. But like, if you go and hang out with friends,
What do you mean dates?
like you gotta have individual one-on-one time with your Eros.
Oh, I see.
Like I think it said right now, it requires like a one-on-one-ness.
A mutual. Let's see. Desires emotional closeness and not just physical intimacy. A desire to be fully known and fully joined. You don't just want love, you want that person. It's about one specific person.
All to myself.
Yeah.
Eros, you don't share. That's why open relationships make no sense to me. But also, and that's another thing why I think personally that's, and by the way, I'm not saying that girls don't phileo, but I think that girls are naturally better at having exclusive relationships.
Wait, so does that mean like most men in the Bible never had Eros love because they were all in different relationships? They're polygamous?
Well, I would say
Well, I wouldn't say most men in the
no,
Bible,
but you know what's actually kind of sad? Actually, it's kind of ugly. They had an Eros relationship with like one wife,
Yeah.
and the other wives were just like,
Extras.
and that's
Like,
probably.
Well, but then they're
For
like,
Leos.
Leah and Rachel.
they're
yeah.
emotionally giving themselves to other women. So it's like they're not emotionally.
You don't know if they were really emotionally giving themselves.
Like,
Because of that structure, I don't know. We look at it how we are today. I don't even think relationally, like, people interacted necessarily
Or at least
with those
physically.
norms. Physically,
Physically,
yes, but
yeah.
emotionally,
which is kind of annoying.
yeah.
Like, oh, we're married. I have to.
But then it's like you're not physically and emotionally and spiritually tied to just one person. You don't have like your one. You have your 100.
So like yesterday,
Or two.
Yeah.
did you go to marriage yesterday?
I did.
Did it not break your heart a little bit when we were hearing about Leah?
Yeah.
First baby,
Yeah.
now my husband will love me. Second baby, now my husband will love me. Third baby, now my husband will love me. And then at fourth, she just gives up. So like for her, it definitely didn't exist in that relationship.
I told them after third. Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were.
You've been holding it in for 24 hours.
Oh,
No.
Jake, I told
What?
your little big graph.
I didn't want to interrupt. I thought you were done.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is that like, I think that they do have Eros, but not necessarily with all the women they, and sometimes with none. I would say. Which is kind of
I
sad.
told him after Thursday, like, hey, he said that Leia had 4 of them. She had 6 of them. So like, put the other names. It makes an even bigger impact. That she had half the tribes. But then they don't.
Oh.
He even said the last one that.
Yeah, right. That was even. He didn't even say it that way on Thursday. Like he didn't say the last one.
Is it because you weren't officially an elder yet?
Yeah, they didn't.
I guess so. Next time I'm gonna show him, I was like,
into
hey,
effect
tell
yet.
Eric it was 6.
Okay, but
It's
so then
Issachar and Zebulun on
when
it.
Jacob wanted to be buried by Leah, so that is Storgi. Yeah?
He wasn't buried by Leah?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
buried Rachel on the way to Bethel after she had Benjamin.
Yeah, in the end, he wanted to be buried next to Leah, so that wasn't Eros, I guess, that was Storgi?
That might be just commitment, like straight up. Like,
No, I
Well, it could
think,
be a different kind of Eros, I think.
maybe,
Like
I don't know.
David had a kind of Eros for Michal, a different kind of Eros for Bathsheba, and a very different kind of Eros for Abigail.
I think Bathsheba was straight up lust.
But he married her, and his son, like her son, was the next king. And
Later.
Jesus, I know, but so I'm saying eventually though, like it was a very lopsided Eros, But it was different, right? His love for Michal and Abigail and Bathsheba. You know what? Put those three on in the next presentation. We'll just say like, here's what it looks like.
I struggle to say Bathsheba was Eros.
Of course it was Eros. What other kind of love would it be?
It wasn't
Not
love. It was lust.
Oh,
He killed a man over it.
yeah.
That's not. You don't do that for Eros. Well, maybe you do.
Maybe
You
you
can. That's my point. Like, you can.
Maybe he could tell from that far away that it was Eros and it was worth risking it all.
At best, it was a perverted version of
Yeah.
Eros, which is not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think lust and
Which that goes back to lust, right? I don't know. This stuff.
It's crazy.
Watching other
Well,
people
well, well.
Next time you're
Uh,
I am so sorry.
was somebody at the Lebanese festival?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Why not?
I'm sure we're yesterday, not today though.
Alright, let's start.
My mom needed me today.
All right.
Okay, that's fair.
Start over from slide one. Yeah.
Please start.
Please start over. Encore.
How's it going? I'm hugging her.
All the images in this PowerPoint were brought to you by ChatGPT.
I know!
I know why I do, especially see the guy closest to us in the hiking picture, he only has one leg.
That's
But he has a
true.
butt crack anyway.
Wait, are we starting over?
Yeah, we're starting over.
Dude, I thought of you, Ferris, yesterday because yesterday I went to play some pickleball,
Yeah.
and the league name is like Agape Pickleball.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So as soon as I was supposed to take a picture of it, but I get distracted. My ADD kicks in. Like,
You're gonna have to stream this one because you need.
let's start over.
You need to know this for your dating game.
Yeah.
Alright, so should I stop the recording?
Yeah. Stop
Okay, but
recording.
it's funny because
Bye,
I'm gonna
everybody.
tell you.